Have you ever stopped and wondered if the way you masturbate at over 60 is actually harming your erection instead of helping it? It sounds like a strange question, but for many men, the problem isn't age, it's technique. I'm Dr. Emilly Collins, urologist, and before you think this is just another lecture, let me be direct with you. The habits you repeat during masturbation can silently affect your circulation, sensitivity, and the way your penis responds during sex. And most men don't realize this until the damage is already happening. Here is the truth most older men never hear. After 60, your body doesn't react to stimulation the way it did at 25. The skin becomes thinner, the nerves fire more slowly, and the blood vessels supplying your erection become more sensitive to pressure and friction. That means the same grip you used for decades, the same rhythm, the same speed, may now be working against your erection, not supporting it. Many men tell me, "Doc, I feel like I need stronger stimulation just to feel something." But that need is often the very sign that the method is dulling sensitivity over time. When the penis is overstimulated with too much force or speed, the nerves adapt and become less responsive. Blood flow becomes inconsistent. You may get an erection, but it fades quickly or feels weaker. And emotionally, this creates a quiet sense of panic. You start wondering if your testosterone dropped, if you're losing your drive, if something is truly wrong with your body. But very often, the issue is not hormonal. It's mechanical. Your erection depends on healthy circulation and responsive nerves. When technique overrides biology, performance naturally declines. So let me ask you directly. Have you noticed it takes longer to get fully hard? Or that your penis feels less sensitive than it used to? Or that your erections collapse easily when your mind wanders? These changes are not random. They're signals. Your body is telling you that the old pattern no longer works and that it needs a gentler, healthier approach to maintain sexual strength. And before we continue, I want you to stay engaged with this because understanding this shift is the first step to protecting your erection long term. If this already sounds familiar, leave a comment sharing your experience, hit like so this reaches more men who need help, and check if you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the next steps we're about to build together. What comes next? We'll make everything even clearer as we move deeper into how your body changes and what adjustments truly restore sensitivity and power. To understand why your old pattern of stimulation stops working after 60, you first need to understand what actually changes inside your body. Most men blame aging, but aging itself isn't the enemy. The real issue is how your hormones, nerves, and circulation gradually shift, creating a completely new landscape for sexual response. The penis doesn't stop working, it simply reacts differently than it once did. And ignoring these changes is what quietly damages erection quality and sensitivity. One of the biggest shifts is hormonal. Testosterone doesn't suddenly disappear, but its natural rhythm becomes less predictable. Instead of sharp rises that once triggered spontaneous erections and effortless arousal, you get slower, flatter waves. This means arousal may take more time, and intense stimulation right away can overwhelm the nervous system instead of activating it. Many men misinterpret this as "I'm losing my sex drive," when in reality, the body is asking for a different pace. Then there's circulation. Blood vessels that feed the erection become less elastic, and the endothelial lining reacts more slowly to signals that once opened those vessels instantly. That initial surge of blood you used to feel now requires more relaxation and less pressure. When you grip too tightly or move too fast, you reduce blood inflow at the exact moment your body needs it most. Over decades, this pattern conditions the penis to respond only to aggressive stimulation, which becomes a trap. The stronger you stimulate, the less sensation you actually feel. Nerve sensitivity changes as well. The tiny sensory receptors that trigger sexual pleasure don't fire at the same speed or intensity they did when you were younger. They need warmth, gradual stimulation, and consistent blood flow. Harsh routines create microstress in the tissue, and the Body adapts by dulling signals. This is how men end up thinking they need more friction, more speed, more pressure, when the truth is the opposite. The nerves want slower buildup, not force. Psychologically, these physical changes can trigger a cycle of frustration. You start trying harder, pushing for a reaction, and the body responds by tensing. Tension restricts circulation, which weakens erection quality, which increases anxiety, which creates even more tension. It becomes a loop that many men don't even realize they're trapped in. When you understand that this loop isn't a failure, it's just biology, you can finally begin to break it. And there's another layer no one talks about. The pelvic floor itself becomes tighter with age, especially in men who sit often or carry stress in their hips and lower back. A tight pelvic floor can make erections weaker, orgasms harder to reach, and sensitivity uneven. When your masturbation technique reinforces tension rather than releasing it, the problem compounds silently over the years. All of this leads to one essential truth: your body after 60 is not resisting pleasure, it's recalibrating it. The key is learning how to work with these changes instead of fighting against them. And once you understand how this biological shift operates, the next question becomes clear: what exactly is the hidden damage caused by using the wrong technique, and how far does it really go when it comes to your erection, sensitivity, and sexual confidence as a whole? When a man continues using the same masturbation pattern he relied on for decades, the damage doesn't appear all at once. It builds quietly, layer by layer, until one day he realizes that something feels off. The erection doesn't rise with the same strength, the penis feels less sensitive, or the climax feels muted. These changes rarely begin with a medical condition. They often begin with the repeated mechanical stress created by a routine that no longer matches what the body needs after 60. The first silent consequence is loss of sensitivity. When the penis is exposed to the same high-intensity friction, the same tight grip, or the same rapid motion again and again, the nerves gradually dull their response. Biologically, the body does this to protect itself. But for you, the result is that it now takes stronger stimulation just to feel normal levels of pleasure. That creates a dangerous loop: the more pressure you use, the more you desensitize the nerves, and the more the pleasure threshold rises. Then come the microtears. The skin of the penis becomes thinner with age, and the tiny blood vessels beneath the surface are easier to irritate. Aggressive stimulation creates microscopic lesions you may not see, yet the tissue feels slightly sore or numb the next day. Over time, these small injuries disrupt blood flow, leading to erections that rise slowly, fade easily, or lose firmness mid-arousal. Many men interpret this as erectile dysfunction, but the root cause is often cumulative irritation rather than failure of the erection mechanism itself. Another hidden effect is muscular tension. When a man feels pressure to climax quickly or worries about losing his erection, his pelvic floor tightens subconsciously. Over years, this chronic tension restricts circulation, reduces the force of the erection, and makes orgasm harder to reach. It also creates a pattern where pleasure feels rushed instead of steady and deep. Instead of relaxing into arousal, the body braces for performance, which is the opposite of what produces strong erections. Emotionally, this cycle takes an even heavier toll. You may begin to doubt your masculinity, question your performance, or feel a quiet fear that something permanent is happening. Some men withdraw from intimacy because they feel that their body is unreliable. Others try to overstimulate even more, unknowingly worsening the very issue they are trying to correct. What begins as a physical adaptation becomes a psychological weight that affects confidence, attraction, and connection. And perhaps the most unnoticed effect of all is how the brain adapts. When your nervous system becomes conditioned to one specific type of stimulation, a certain pressure, speed, or position, it begins to treat other forms of touch as less meaningful. This makes partnered sex feel different, less responsive, or even frustrating. The body struggles to translate the stimulation from a partner into the sensations the brain has become wired to expect. Many men come to me saying, "I feel fine alone, but I can't maintain the same reaction during sex," and this mismatch is exactly why. Once this cycle is in motion, the body keeps adapting further. But the encouraging truth is that these changes are not fixed. With the right adjustments, the penis, nerves, and pelvic floor can regain responsiveness. The next step is understanding what specific corrections actually protect your erection and restore sensitivity, and which adjustments every man over 60 should begin making immediately to prevent further decline. Now that you understand how the wrong habit slowly reshapes sensitivity, circulation, and sexual response, the next step is making targeted adjustments that support your erection instead of working against it. These changes are not about restricting pleasure, they are about aligning your technique with the biology of a body that has evolved over the decades. When men begin applying these corrections, they often notice improvements they didn't expect: stronger erections, warmer sensations, easier arousal, and a more controlled climax. The key is giving the penis and nervous system the environment they need to perform well again. The first essential change is reducing grip pressure. A tight grip compresses the small arteries that carry blood into the penis, limiting the fullness of the erection. It also flattens nerve endings, which leads to that numb sensation so many older men describe. Switching to a gentler hold feels unusual at first because the brain is used to intense stimulation. But within days or weeks, the nerves begin waking up again, and sensitivity gradually returns. Think of this less as weakness and more as recalibration. The second adjustment is slowing the initial pace. Older nerves need consistent, gradual stimulation to activate fully. Starting too fast overwhelms the sensory pathways, making the penis feel unresponsive or distant. When you slow down, in the beginning, you allow blood to warm the tissue, the pelvic floor to relax, and the brain to fully register pleasure. As the rhythm builds naturally, arousal becomes deeper and more sustainable. Another crucial step is using lubrication. Many men underestimate how drastically skin moisture declines with age, influenced by hormones, hydration, and circulation. Dry stimulation increases friction, leading to microtears and delayed onset soreness. A small amount of a simple, non-scented lubricant reduces this stress and helps restore a smoother, more sensitive response. Lubrication also encourages slower, more controlled movement, which benefits both the tissue and the nerves. Posture is another factor rarely discussed but incredibly important. Sitting hunched forward compresses the pelvic nerves and restricts blood flow to the base of the penis. Lying back with relaxed hips, reclining in a supported position, or using cushions to keep the pelvis open creates a healthier angle. For circulation, men who adjust posture are often surprised by how much stronger and fuller their erections feel purely due to improved blood flow. Breathing also plays a major role. When a man holds his breath or tenses his abdomen, his pelvic floor contracts automatically. This tension restricts nerve signaling and can cause the erection to fade. Slow, steady breathing relaxes the pelvic floor and improves the vascular response throughout the entire genital region. Many men realize for the first time how much tension they have been holding for years without noticing. Finally, it is essential to stop treating climax as a race. Rushing forces the body into a stress-based pattern of stimulation, which weakens the erection over time. Giving yourself permission to feel instead of perform allows the penis, nerves, and blood vessels to function the way they are meant to. This shift not only improves physical response but creates a calmer, more confident connection with your own body. Each of these changes supports recovery from the silent damage caused by years of the same routine. And when they begin working together, the body often responds with surprising strength. But adjustments alone are only part of the process. The next step is rebuilding sensitivity, enhancing blood flow, and strengthening sexual function through daily habits that work from the inside out. As you begin adjusting the way you stimulate your body, the next step is rebuilding what has been slowly worn down over the years: sensitivity, blood flow, and the natural responsiveness of your erection. These improvements don't come from force or intensity, they come from consistency, biology, and small daily actions that support the tissue, nerves, and hormones that drive your sexual function. Many men are surprised by how much their body recovers when they finally stop pushing against it and start working with it. One of the most effective ways to restore sensitivity is through gradual reconditioning. When you reduce pressure and slow the pace, the nerves begin to reawaken. But you can accelerate this process by giving the penis exposure to different types of touch. Light fingertip contact, gentle gliding motions, or even using the back of your hand stimulate sensory pathways that were ignored for decades. These signals travel deeper into the nervous system and rebuild responsiveness that intense friction suppresses. Think of it like retraining muscles after years of overuse. In only one direction. Improving circulation is another pillar of recovery. Erections depend on healthy endothelial function, the ability of blood vessels to open fully and stay open. After 60, these vessels become stiffer, but they can be improved. A simple daily habit like a 10-minute walk increases nitric oxide, the molecule responsible for expanding penile arteries. Stretching your hips and lower back reduces tension around the pelvic floor, especially in men who sit for long periods, helping blood enter the penis more easily. Even gentle heat, such as a warm shower focused on the groin, increases blood flow and prepares the tissue for more responsive arousal. Pelvic floor relaxation also plays an essential role. Many men mistakenly believe they need more strength in this area when, in reality, excessive tightness is what blocks arousal. Practicing slow diaphragmatic breathing, letting your belly expand as you inhale, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, relaxing the pelvic muscles that surround the base of the penis. This opens the pathway for deeper erections and more consistent stimulation. Over time, this simple habit can make the body feel less reactive to stress and more attuned to pleasure. Hormonal balance contributes as well. While testosterone naturally shifts with age, its impact on sex drive and erection quality depends on sleep, stress, and micronutrient intake. Improving sleep quality through a steady nighttime routine helps regulate testosterone production. Staying hydrated and consuming foods that support circulation, such as leafy greens, beets, and healthy fats, gives your body the raw materials it needs to maintain sexual health. None of these habits replace medical care when necessary, but they drastically influence daily vitality. Equally important is addressing the emotional side of sexual response. When sexual activity is approached with pressure, fear, or self-doubt, cortisol rises. And cortisol is one of the fastest ways to weaken an erection. Shifting your mindset from performance to exploration removes that internal tension. When you approach stimulation with curiosity instead of urgency, your body responds with greater ease and strength. Pleasure becomes deeper, steadier, and more meaningful, not rushed or forced. All these changes combine to rebuild a foundation that many men believed was lost forever. Your penis, your nerves, and your hormones are not shutting down, they are asking for the right environment to function well again. And once this internal foundation is strengthened, the natural next step is learning how to create a full ritual, a repeatable, a safe, and deeply pleasurable routine that supports your body every time you engage in self-stimulation. Once your body begins responding to gentler stimulation, healthier circulation, and reduced tension, the next step is shaping all of these adjustments into a consistent ritual. A ritual gives your nervous system something it deeply needs after 60. Predictability without intensity. This structured approach helps the penis respond more fully, helps the pelvic floor relax, and helps the mind enter a state where arousal feels natural again instead of forced. Most men who adopt this type of routine are surprised not only by the physical improvements, but also by the level of calm and confidence it brings into their intimate life. The first component of this ritual is environment. Your body cannot shift into a responsive state when you are distracted, tense, or mentally rushed. Setting a slower pace from the beginning signals your nervous system to transition out of stress mode. A quiet room, a comfortable position, and time that is not pressured by urgency all work together to make arousal more stable. Creating this space is not about formality, it is about letting your physiology catch up with your intention. The second component is physical preparation. Before any direct stimulation, warming your hands and allowing gentle heat around the groin increases blood flow and softens the tissue. This step helps older nerves engage more easily and prevents the shallow, inconsistent erections that happen when the tissue is cold or tense. Breathing deeply during this phase encourages relaxation of the pelvic floor, opening the pathway for blood to move into the penis more freely. Next comes sensory activation. Starting with light, broad strokes across the pelvis, thighs, lower abdomen, and base of the penis signals the brain to shift attention to pleasure. These touches should be slow and exploratory, not focused on speed or pressure. The goal is to awaken sensory pathways that have been dormant due to years of repetitive stimulation. As the brain receives these gentler signals, it begins to rebuild sensitivity and amplify smaller sensations that were previously ignored. When you do begin stimulating the penis directly, the movement should follow the same principle: slow, steady, and responsive. If the grip tightens, loosen it; if the pace quickens, slow it; if tension rises in your hips or abdomen, pause and breathe until the muscles soften. This ritual teaches your nervous system to associate arousal with relaxation rather than strain. Over time, you will notice your erection becomes more consistent, fuller, and easier to maintain throughout the experience. Another key part of this ritual is ebb and flow. Instead of staying at a constant pace, allowing moments of stillness helps reset sensation and deepen arousal. This prevents overstimulation and supports better blood retention inside the penis. It also helps the brain stay engaged, maintaining the mental connection needed for a stronger erection. The final component is awareness. Paying attention to your body's signals, warmth, pressure, pulses of sensation, or changes in firmness, allows you to adjust before numbness or tension develops. This awareness reinforces healthier patterns and ensures you avoid slipping back into habits that suppress sensitivity. When all these elements come together, they form a ritual that supports your erection, your confidence, and your long-term sexual well-being. And with this foundation fully established, the final step is putting everything into a long-term plan designed to keep your potency strong, your body safe, and your sexual health thriving for years to come. Now that you understand how your body changes, how your old habits affected your erection, and how a healthier ritual can restore sensitivity and control, the final step is turning all of this into a long-term plan. A plan that protects your penis, supports your hormones, strengthens your circulation, and keeps your sexual vitality alive far beyond your 60s. Most men think decline is inevitable, but your body is far more adaptable than you realize. When you consistently give it the conditions it needs, the sexual response you experience can feel more dependable, more connected, and more satisfying than it has in years. This long-term plan begins with consistency rather than intensity. Your erection improves through repeated exposure to healthy stimulation patterns, not occasional bursts of effort. Keeping the gentle grip, the slower buildup, and the open posture you practiced earlier trains your nervous system to respond automatically. Over time, these actions become instinctive, making arousal easier even on days when you feel tired or stressed. Another pillar of the plan is protecting your circulation. Small habits is daily walking, stretching the hips, staying hydrated, limiting long hours of sitting, can make a dramatic difference in how quickly your penis fills with blood. Many men underestimate how closely erectile function is linked to basic cardiovascular health. When your blood moves well, your erection follows. Supporting the body's natural ability to circulate blood ensures that the improvements you've worked for remain stable. Maintaining pelvic relaxation is equally important. As you age, tension accumulates in the lower back, hips, and pelvic floor, often without you noticing. This tension restricts nerve flow and reduces the firmness of your erection. Making a habit of slow breathing, gentle stretching, and consciously relaxing the muscles at the base of the penis keeps these pathways open. When this becomes part of your routine, your sexual response feels smoother and less fragile. Mental patterns also shape long-term sexual confidence. Many men over 60 quietly carry performance fears, fears of losing firmness, of disappointing a partner, or of not feeling enough sensation. But consistent practice with healthier techniques replaces fear with familiarity. The more your body responds positively, the more your mind begins to trust that response again. Confidence is not an emotion, it is the repeated experience of your body working the way you need it to. And finally, this plan works best when you treat your sexual health with the same attention you give the rest of your well-being. When you understand your erection as a system, circulation, nerves, hormones, emotions, you realize that caring for it is not a burden but a form of long-term self-preservation. Small, steady actions turn into lasting vitality. If you've stayed with me until this point, it tells me you're genuinely committed to improving your sexual health. That alone already puts you far ahead of most men your age. So if this conversation spoke to you, leave a comment saying something like, "This message was for me, so I know you reached the end." And if the value here helped you understand your own body better, consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It supports this channel and helps me bring more guidance your way. There's also another video right here that connects directly with what we discussed today. Click on it and continue this journey with me.